Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the People Person podcast brought to you by Good Time Media. I am your host, Wyatt Metzger. Today, I am joined by actor, rapper, musician, Adam Hicks. Adam, how you doing? Thanks for joining me today.
What's up, man? Thank you for having me here.
Now, I have to say this is pretty cool for me because, just obviously being 22, almost 23, Lemonade Mouth was my heyday of Disney Channel.
Was it?
So, oh
That's
yeah,
good.
dude, that was perfect. But this is really cool for me because I'm like, oh, it's a dude from Lemonade Mouth. But also, I've seen you posting a lot more on TikTok, saw you on Instagram and stuff, and
Yeah,
it felt like you have a lot to say, and I felt like I want to give a space. Like, let's talk about some stuff and get to know you a little bit more and let people
for
see because
sure.
I feel like I haven't seen much. Like I just feel like a lot of people want to know
Yeah, sure.
what's been going on. Um, I want to ask you. I want to start kind of way back. Um,
Yeah.
what's the first moment you realize like, hey, like my life and my childhood's a little different than other people? Because I feel like if you grow up in that little actor environment, it's you don't realize how different it is until you burst that bubble. Was there a moment you realized like, oh shit, this
I
is
think
different?
it was, yeah. I think it was when I was in school, man. I think school was I'm talking elementary school. When
Yeah.
I had to leave, the first show I ever did was a show called Titus. It was on Fox for like
Mm-hmm.
3 seasons, and Bernie Mac ended up taking our place, the Bernie Mac show. But
Damn.
but yeah, so being there, I'd have to get these little packets. I would go like twice a week, I would think. Yeah, twice a week, and I get these packets from my teacher. And I remember just realizing then that that things were a little different than other kids. They'd be wondering where I was going, and because we'd have to get a teacher that basically we would look for a school that would work with me working.
Yeah.
So if the school wouldn't work with us, then we wouldn't go to that school. So I went to a lot of schools trying to find schools that would work with me.
Yeah, and those schools, like, would it take you longer to get through like the material, like grade wise? Like, were you behind and stuff because you're spending so much time like on set recording stuff, or are you pretty much on pace, just putting more hours in?
Like honestly, it's a good, you got to find a good balance, because if you're working a lot, like when I hit with Disney and I was still in school, it was drastic. I had to drop out at 16, and I took my GD. Well, I took a diploma test at 16. So just to get
Wow.
my diploma, because I was working so much. Basically, they have a set teacher. You have to do so many hours every day on set,
Mm,
legally. And yeah, and if you don't keep up with it, then you got to work on the weekends. So they keep up with their schooling, and you do get that one-on-one treatment. But at the end of the day, there's nothing like a classroom environment,
yeah.
and getting your homework packets. And if you're really working, they they kind of break it up where it's like, we're going to give you 15 minutes, and then we got to go back to set. So what can
Yeah.
you learn in 15 minutes? We're going to give you 30 minutes, and then we got to go back to set. And so you're just like going over the same things, or not really retaining information. And it was a struggle. I mean, I dropped out, because
Yeah.
I was like, and then I went back and got my diploma. But
No,
yeah, but my yeah.
yeah, I feel like there's something to be said too about just missing out on like the classroom environment where you're around kids your age. Cause I'm sure like on set, you're around people who are older, younger, whatever. Like being in a classroom environment, growing up and learning with people your age, I feel like that's the biggest part of school. Like just the
For
education
sure.
process. Like you learn socially, just like how to interact too through that environment rather
For
than like
sure.
you can learn the material in any way. Like but I feel like that's not the most important. That's just my perspective on it. So I feel like, do you feel like you missed out just like on hanging out with kids your age?
Yeah, definitely. My childhood wasn't really a childhood. It was more of a just a work environment constantly. You know what I mean? I grew up with friends. I'm blessed to have friends in Vegas, that I still have to this day. But just working all the time, yeah, I agree with you, man. It took away from a lot of those, getting your diploma, taking your mom to school, all those little, like, those memories that you have growing up
Mm-hmm.
at school. I didn't really have those. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And now how what was the reason you got into this? Was it did you show like at a young age an interest in it or was it something your parents tried out once, something hit? What was your like introduction? How do you get into this world?
So basically, my mom, she heard auditions on the radio in Vegas at the MGM Grand, and so she took me to auditions. It was for a local, like, Pop Tart commercial or something, and I went there and I got picked up locally. And I started doing just like non-SAG, non-union, local like commercials basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then after doing that for a long period of time, I think it was about a year of doing that, I got pitched to LA, and I went to LA and I got with an agency called Coast to Coast. And then from there, then my whole kind of journey of, getting
Yeah.
into SAG and becoming part of the union and, booking actual roles that people, know what they are basically,
Mm-hmm. And at
Yeah.
any point during, I mean, like during that process, like you're a kid, are you thinking like, oh, this is just like the next, this is what everyone does this path for me. And like, at any point did you think like, oh, I actually love doing this? Was that like a conversation you had with yourself?
I think it was a good balance, man. Honestly, when I was young and I got into it, obviously my parents put me into it, but I did enjoy doing it. I always like enjoyed entertaining, but at the same time, it was that kind of balance of like, when I was acting, when I was booking roles, like everything in my family was good. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like we were like going on
Yeah.
vacations, like everything was good, and so just identifying with that and being like, okay, when I act, everyone's basically happy, and when I'm
Yeah.
booking roles, just seeing the happiness in my family definitely motivated me more than my actual like drive to want to continue acting, because it was more of an environment, a family environment kind of situation where I was
Yeah.
just like, happy about my environment. I was acting, I was making people happy, basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but as I grew older, I definitely, I mean, I love it, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of like a pressure added to that where you realize, hey, when I'm acting, I'm doing this, I enjoy it, but also everything else around me is good. Like family life's good, everything's good. That's some pressure there. And it's something you don't realize. I'm guessing. Again, I have no idea, but I feel like that's a pressure you don't realize, and then as you go through it, you're like, oh shit, I got to keep doing this. I got to make sure this is good because everything else is good
right.
around me. Did you feel that at all?
Definitely. I mean, honestly, it was one of those things that where it becomes an addiction, man, because you want to make people happy, especially at a young age. I mean, you hear these stories all the time,
Yeah.
child actors, and them going through, all kinds of shit. It's just because it's a lot of pressure, bro. I mean, it is, you got 100 people staring at you. You got 100 different lines. You know what I mean? So you get sucked into this world where everyone's just counting on you, basically,
Yeah.
and you got to keep achieving, and it's a never ending process. There's so many different levels to it. It never ends. Once you get to this
Mm-hmm.
level, you want to book this, and then you want to book this, and then you want to work on this, and then you want to do this. And so just being open up to this environment that it was a lot of pressure, and I think this is where it started, where I started like dealing with anxiety and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with these kind of mental stresses that I didn't even know I had until I was put in these situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you talk about these different levels. Obviously, one of those levels, arguably one of the highest ones for child actors, is Disney. Like that's the
Yeah, for sure.
machine, the Disney machine. I
For
have to
sure.
imagine people always talk about like the horror stories of like being a child actor in Disney. But I have to imagine like as a kid going through it at first, you're like, this is the coolest thing in the world. Like you're
Well, look,
probably how cool was it?
like all I wanted my whole entire life was my own TV show. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was the level I wanted to go to. Booking with Disney, I mean, look, Disney, you work long hours, you put in a lot of work, but Disney is a great company. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
took me all over the world.
Yeah.
Some of the best, my mother's not with me anymore, but some of the best memories of my life are with my mother traveling the world because of Disney. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so Disney, and they make you famous for free. I mean, the distribution is incredible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so everybody around is going to know what you're doing, and you just got to sit back and kind of just go with the ride, and once you start working on a show with Disney, they got so many outlets, so many different shows that you just start jumping from show to show
Mm-hmm.
to red carpet to red carpet. And yeah, it is the Disney machine for sure. You definitely feel the machine when you're in it.
Was there a point where as you're getting going through this Disney machine, like you're like, I gotta hold on to this because at some point they're not gonna want me, and once they don't want me, they'll kick me to the curb. Like, are you like, I gotta hold on to this money right here. This is awesome. I gotta hold on to this.
Definitely, because
Yeah.
well, I mean, look, eventually you're gonna be, Disney's gonna that's what happens. They always have a new generation of stars,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to figure out how to transition. If you want to be an actor, you got to figure out how to transition into serious roles. Because the big thing with the entertainment business too is that, you know, if you have done a lot of projects and, you know, they're with Disney, it's fine, you know, they know who you are. But if you're transitioning into like a Netflix series or into something that's more serious, they're gonna want things on your resume that show that kind of, you know, level of seriousness, or that you can actually achieve this kind of acting. And you just need, you know, you need more roles to prove that. And so when you're, you know, getting to about 18, 17 years old and you're still working for Disney, you need to start realizing like, hey,
Yeah.
maybe it's time to transition into these more serious roles, you know?
Yeah. I'm interested in obviously Lemonade Mouth. Like I said, that was like my heyday. That was awesome when I was a kid. Still is awesome. Don't get me wrong. What was the pitch for you? Like when they first brought Lemonade Mouth to you, were you like, what the hell is this? Like, this is stupid.
No, so look, I'll tell you what it is. Like, okay, so I was doing Zeke and Luther, the
Mm-hmm.
show, right?
Yeah.
And my co-star, he had booked a movie. And so we were sitting there, and my mom was like, basically like, you know, well, he booked a movie. Why can't you book a movie? Like I said, there's always different
Yeah.
levels, you know, you
Yeah.
just keep going. And so my mother emailed Disney and was like, hey, I just want to check in and see if there's any projects coming up, you know. And they emailed back and they said, well, we got this one project called Lemonade Mouth. We'll send it. We'll see if he could fit for it. So they sent the script, and I was reading it, and I was supposed to play the keyboards, but, you know, I always rap. And so I was just like, you know, I'm just going to write a rap. So I just went in there, you know, wrote a rap, and then did a little rap for them. And they had rewrote the script after I left. They rewrote the script and made me a rapper. So that was like a
Huh.
big moment. Yeah.
How old were you when Lemonade Mouth was happening?
This is probably 17, 18, 17, 18.
Jeez. And so you talk about your rapping. Is that something you're just like doing on the side? You're like, you know what? I'm kind of good at this thing. I'll go in, pitch this. Or were you like, I don't know. Were you rapping like full
Yeah,
time
I've
at
been
the
rapping forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been rapping forever. So I was just like, hey, I'm just going to pitch, but it's still a pitch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You're right. Like, it's still like, hey, we're going to see if it works.
Yeah.
You know, add a little something extra and go in there. Because in an audition, you always want to add a little something extra
Mm-hmm.
just to stand out, because there's going to be a lot of people in there, you know.
And I saw you put out a clip that's saying you wrote the rap for the Terminate and then like some other raps. Is that true? You wrote all the raps that you did?
Yeah, I wrote all the raps. Yeah.
That was there any like vetting process where like, hey, let's make sure this guy's legit, or were they pretty clear like, hey, this is yours, make it your own?
Nah, it was there's shout out to Steve Vincent. He's the head of ABC Music. He really believed in me, and he gave me this opportunity. He literally he was just they sent me the instrumental, and actually it didn't even have any lyrics. Now I remember, it had nothing. And so they
Wow.
just told me the kind of vibe it was going to be, and they told me the sections and how long the verse was going to be. And so I wrote it. I remember I wrote it at the Hilton at the Universal Hilton in Los Angeles. But yeah, I wrote it and then sent it back, and he approved it right then and there. And then
Wow.
from there, it grew into Breakthrough, and then it grew into Living on a High Wire once I was already on set filming.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Now that the cast you were with, obviously they've all gone in their different ways. When you're like, were you how close were you with the rest of the cast? Like there's always that song. It's like we're more than a band, all that. How close was the cast during the filming?
Cast was really close. Yeah, we were really close. I feel like, you know, because when we first did Lemonade Mouth, you know, everyone was coming up, everyone was young, you know, and we had to band together, honestly, to make it work. Like, I feel like that's why the movie was so good, because we just had that chemistry naturally, you know. And so yeah, everyone was good, man. And then afterwards, they were gonna make a Lemonade Mouth 2. They actually went on. We went on
Wow.
the View. We went on the View. This is a crazy story. So
Yeah.
we link up, and we're going on the View. First we go to where do we go? We went to Good Morning America. So we performed on Good Morning America in New York, right? And then we go to the View, and they announced live on the View. I don't know if you could find this, but they announced that, hey, they're gonna make Lemonade Mouth 2.
Wow.
So it's like this crazy like announcement live. and then they never do it. So I'm like,
Damn.
then they canceled it like halfway through. But they had their own reasons. That's what Disney does, their own thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they probably just were gonna piece people out and
Yeah.
you know
I
put
was gonna say it would have been pretty tough considering if I remember correctly the ending of Lemonade Mouth. You guys go from like performing at like a high school jam fest to like Madison Square Garden.
yeah,
So
exactly.
like the scope would have been a lot bigger in the sequel. So
Yeah,
that would have been tough, I think, to pull off. You guys would have just been international stars at that point. It would have been
yeah,
tough.
yeah. You're right. I think that's probably a reason why they didn't do it.
Yeah. Um, a question about one of our individual cast members, Naomi Scott. So she's
Yes.
gone. First of all, I had a huge crush on her during that entire.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's beautiful. Awesome. Did you know she was like gonna be a big time star? Because like she was
Yeah,
gonna play Jasmine in Aladdin. Like that's incredible.
she's
That's
doing
big time.
incredible right now. She's an incredible actress. She's a down to earth person. She's an amazing human being. Like when you meet her, she's an incredible person. She deserves everything she's getting right now. Honestly,
Yeah. Anyone? Do you still keep in touch with from that show?
I haven't talked to a lot of people. Honestly, I
Yeah.
haven't. But that's part of the industry. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
like you go from one project and then you go to another project, and what's great is that it comes back around. You see people, years down the road, and people are doing this or people are doing that. But yeah, everyone
Mhm.
was good though.
Yeah. Now once you end up kind of leaving that Disney bubble, leaving that Disney level, what was that feeling like when all right, Disney's behind you and you're like, I gotta find what's next, I gotta find that next level. How did you navigate that? Like what was your life like post Lemonade
Well,
Mouth,
this is
post
why,
Disney?
yeah. This is why you got to get a good management team and a good agent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they got to figure this stuff out for you. It's one of those things where you got to start booking roles that aren't Disney. I mean, that's just
Mhm.
how it goes. If you want to do music, you got to start dropping music. You got to start. You just got to put content out there. Especially these days, it's changed a lot. Because back then it wasn't so much social media. I mean,
Mhm.
I guess it was, but now it's like nothing but social media. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, usually you have a little plan with your team. You start doing projects, guest starring on projects that are that are not Disney at all, and can show some depth in your acting. And then you hope for to book a role that will land a series regular or something like that. That's the
Mhm.
ultimate plan.
And if you weren't, so you weren't doing that, basically, is that what you're saying? And so you didn't
Well,
have
no,
maybe the
no.
best.
Well, I was trying. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
trying to do that. Like I had booked this show called Southland. I booked a show called Texas Rising, which was on
Mhm.
History Channel. I booked like these serious roles. I worked with Bill Paxton and Ray Liotta. I worked with Ray Liotta before he died. That was a
Oh,
major thing right
wow.
there. Yeah, and so I was trying to transition out. That I was during the process of transitioning, or at least trying to.
Yeah. And then again, we talked a little bit, you mentioned it before, just like mentally, what kind of toll does that take? Just like that's been your whole life, basically. You're just moving up, constantly trying to move up the ranks. Was there a breaking point where you're like, this is just too much? And like what did that look like?
I think it wasn't like it's too much. I think it was just getting to the point where I didn't know how to handle it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, I think, look, man, a lot of things come with people who are in entertainment. Like addiction. There's a lot of addiction in this entertainment business. There's a lot of people, dealing with pressures differently. Everyone deals with pressures differently. Me, I was, I started drinking at a young age. That's how I dealt with stress. That was my
Yeah.
stress reliever. I picked that route. Other people pick different routes. But I think dealing with that and having an addiction problem and growing up and having stress and not knowing how to handle it and deal with it really affects people.
Mm-hmm.
Affected me severely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw one of the clips you talked about. You talked about how you had this feeling with when you were going through all the stuff you're going through, with like, oh, I let people down. I let these people down. Can you talk some about like, first of all, not only that feeling, which again, I feel like everyone listening has been through that before. Everyone knows what that feels like. They hold themselves to a standard that they think everyone holds you to. And when you don't live up to that, you feel disappointed in yourself because you care about them. And you talked about a little before where like life was good for you because your family was good and you were doing this basically keep your family happy and everything. So when you don't reach that standard that you hold for yourself, it sucks. So you talk about a little bit like kind of what that feeling was like, and then also like who were the people who, no matter what, they stuck with you, like no matter like the lowest of lows, they were there because everyone has those people, everyone needs those people.
Honestly, yeah, just dealing with, the pressure and dealing with everything. The people who were there for me, I mean, through everything, the people who were there for me were only a handful, honestly. I mean, everyone kind of left my side, and dealing with the
Yeah.
pressure of basically what I did is I tried to like help a lot of people, and it helped my situation. It just made my situation worse, honestly, because of my
Mm-hmm.
addiction, because of my problems like that, grew out of control to the point where, I had no control. I was losing control. I needed help. People weren't there to necessarily help me, didn't know how to help me. Maybe they could have helped me, but, they were in their own lives or whatever the case may be. I felt like I was holding the world on my shoulders. And I felt like
Yeah.
once that kind of imploded and once everything happened and I was, at the bottom of the food chain basically, and
Mm-hmm.
realizing what was going on and dealing with that. I mean, the pain and the realization, it's a severe thing. I mean, everyone can relate to it of
Yeah.
letting, the world down basically and letting yourself down and letting your family down. I was going through all kinds of emotions, man. I mean, honestly, like I've dealt and I've thought about this a lot of times, and for a long period of
Mm-hmm.
time. And just the best thing that I came to understand is that, just accepting and taking responsibility for what you have done and learning how to, identify what you've done and try to better yourself, man. I mean, that's the only thing I can do. It can only go up from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just
Exactly.
realizing that, and realizing that I got to take it day by day because like you were saying, who was there, bro? I lost everybody, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, literally, like, my dad wasn't there, my brother wasn't there, nobody was there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's out of sight, out of mind. A lot of people I was locked up with actually, they would tell me things like, people been down 14, 15 years, I mean,
Yeah.
in LA County Jail, it's crazy, man, because there's certain people there who've been fighting their case for like 12 years
Jeez.
and they're on 24-hour lockdown, bro. They're on 24-hour lockdown. They've been fighting their case for 12 years.
That's
And so
crazy.
these people, and I don't know how it's like humane because you're in a 6x9 and it's literally 24-hour lockdown because of the status of like being an actor. I was in high power. So we were on this row called Denver Row in 3300 and it's 24-hour lockdown. And there, like I was saying, there was people there who've been there 12, 13 years fighting their case, bro. Mentally, I don't know how
That's
these,
crazy.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, people who commit crimes deserve to go to jail, but I mean, they're still human being at the end of the day. And
Mm-hmm.
to have to deal with something like that, I just don't know how, or to deal with, never getting out or, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. I could never imagine it, honestly,
Yeah. Do you
because it's
think,
hell.
yeah. Do you think seeing people like that and people in those situations, like still able to like still fight their case, still kind of have maybe a positive attitude through it and like stick with it? Do you think that helped you in your situation? Just like,
Yeah,
if
bro,
these guys can
because
do it, I can get through this.
definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, look, there's, just fighting my case, compared to people that were in those cases, you can't even like talk to people about your stuff because they're in way worse situations than you.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't even want to hear about your situation because your
Yeah.
situation, you're gonna get what, 4 or 5 years? That'd be a blessing, you know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
you're dealing with people like that, and you got to be careful how you talk to people. There's all these politics, there's all these rules, there's things that even on a tier like that where people are on 24-hour lockdown, there's a lot of politics there, bro. And so people run the tier if they don't like you, they'll gas you out, they'll throw pee on you, they'll throw, and they'll get you out of there,
Jeez.
bro. And so
Jeez.
it's one of those things that, you know, um, and they don't care. They've been there 10, 12 years and they're never going home. So they just don't care.
Yeah.
And
Now,
so,
yeah. And now I am interested in like just when you say the politics of that, and we don't have to talk about this for too long, honestly. But I just like when you say the politics are just in there, what exactly is just like just a hierarchy? People who've been in there the longest, they kind of run shit, stuff like that. Like what do you mean by politics in there?
Basically, what it is just a set of rules. You know, everyone's got their own kind of rules. If someone's on a tier, someone who's been there is going to run the tier. And then, you know, after that, they're going to have a set of rules and you got to follow a set of rules. If not, you're going to get off the tier, you know? It
Huh.
just kind of goes like that.
Yeah.
And then, and, and yeah, it's just basically there's not like a level of command. I mean, I guess there is, but there's, you know, where I was, it was more of a person running the tier and then telling you what you're gonna do and what you're not gonna do, and if you don't
Gotcha.
follow it, you're getting out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Now when you're stepping away, you're not working, you're not acting, you're not doing music. What was the part that you missed the most? What were you like, this is getting me through? I want to get back to doing this.
Bro,
Was
I
it the
was
music?
doing music.
Yeah.
Music.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what about so music obviously been a part of your life. What about music do you think just really, really keeps you going? What grabs you about music that like I wanna keep doing this?
Well, I feel like you write the best music when you're in the worst situations, you know, because it's just like the pain, the way you express yourself. I mean, music is a way to express yourself. And if you're around so much pain and so much negativity, there's so many stories to write about. There's so much things to write about. There's so much emotion in your writing. You know, I feel like it's the purest form of writing when you're down, you know. That's why they say a lot of people, you know, they make millions of dollars and they start writing things that no one cares about, or things like this. You know, it's like when you're in the struggle, when you're in the grind, when you're grinding and you know, you've got a lot of worry on your mind, you write the best kind of music. And that's what happened with me. I just sat there and kind of, you know, wrote something every day and tried to make it, you know, a habit basically.
Yeah. And now what's your goals now with music? Is it strictly I want to do music? Are you still interested in acting?
No, definitely. I'm interested in everything, man. But
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna take the first. I want to focus on my music because I never really have, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a lot of music, and I've never focused on it. You know, the thing of my career was always acting, and I love acting. But it's just like I've had so many opportunities with music that I've never even opened that door or even tried to open that door when I could have. And I've seen people next to me open doors and I've just not tried, you know. And so now that I have a different mindset, I have a different, you know, motivation in my life. I got different, you know, things going on in my head. I want to try to focus and see what I can do with my music just for a little while, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And now have you run into any like obstacles on trying to get that started? Obviously, I've seen you posting more, you're out there. Have you run into obstacles on, all right, I need to get this thing off the ground. I want to get more music out there. I want to do this. I want to kind of get this resurgence going.
Definitely. I mean, look, with producers is one thing, you know, getting
Mm-hmm.
instrumentals, getting beats, you know, I've been out there searching, man, honestly. You know, I kind of started from the ground floor. I've already been recording though. I got my studios down. I'm shooting a music video on the 17th. So I got a little, you know, crew to shoot my music video. We got the sets going, we got the extras, we got everything. And so we're putting it together slowly but surely, you know.
Yeah.
It's a process though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, that's kind of what you talked about, just day by day, you know, keep grinding
Yeah.
and eventually, what can people expect from you coming out soon? Any kind of tease you want to give for kind of music you
Yeah,
got
for
coming out?
sure. I'm dropping music, you know, in October. It's going to be my first music video dropping. It's going to explain a lot about, you know, my rest, about things going on. It's a good song. I've been working on it for a while, you know, and I wrote it when I was locked up. So it's something that's just true. And you know, all these songs are at the bottom when I was, you know, going through the stuff I was going through. So I feel like people are going to be able to relate to it and you know, and see that it's coming from a real place, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just a few more questions here. I'm kind of interested in kind of the demographic of people who maybe reach out to you or maybe recognize you. Is it mostly older people, maybe like teenagers my age, who are reaching out, say, "Hey, I remember you from this. I remember like Disney stuff," or is there a younger generation now who are like stumbling into Lemonade Mouth or Zeke and Luther or stuff like that? Have you noticed any kind of difference between those two groups?
See, honestly, well, man, it's been a second, but
Yeah,
it's I'm thinking like how old are you right now?
I'm 22.
You're 22, like that's
Yeah.
right around, like I would say the 18 to 22,
Okay.
23-year old is like right in that sweet
Yeah.
spot,
Yeah.
you know.
What's that been like on social media? Hearing from people who are like, "Oh, dude, Lemonade Mouth was awesome. Love that."
It's
Like,
cool,
how
bro.
cool is that? Yeah.
That's like the best thing ever. Because look, sitting for so long and being like, oh man, it's so, like everything
Mhm.
is terrible. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then getting out and seeing a response to like, what's up, my boy? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just like an amazing feeling. Just knows that like it makes you feel like, all right, focus on what you love to do and get back out there and start doing what you love to do again.
Yeah.
You might not it might not be for everybody, but it'll be for people that it needs to be for, and that's what I care about.
I love that. I mean, it's like it's almost like a reset. It gives you a deep breath. I feel like sometimes, like again, on a completely different scale from you. But when someone says like, "Hey, I like that video," or "I like that interview," "I like that podcast," it gives me like a deep breath. Like, okay, I'm doing something. I'm doing
Exactly.
something for someone, and that's it. That's
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
sometimes.
Exactly, bro. Like sometimes you can't please the world, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot please the
Exactly.
world. You can just do your craft and do it well, and people will appreciate it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
100%.
And yeah,
Now,
yeah.
let's look forward a little bit. I know we got this day by day process, this mindset, which is awesome. 5 years from now, where are you at? Dream big. What are we seeing from Adam Hicks?
5 years from now, I'm gonna get a deal with some a publishing deal. I'm gonna get my music out there. My music is gonna be cracking. My Spotify is gonna go up. It's at 1 million right now. I want it to be at, you know, 5, 10 million, 20 million. Like let's get it going. I'm trying to just get as much content out there as possible and focus on my career. See, back when I was, acting and doing this, I was focusing on my career because of projects, but I wasn't focusing on my career in my downtime. And that is a lot of it now, especially with social media, is a lot of when you're sitting and doing something. What are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? Are you doing something for yourself, for your career? And I feel like if you put in that 24/7 effort, you're gonna get somewhere. And that's what I'm
Right.
gonna do from now on. You know what I mean?
100%. Love that. Last question I have for you. This is a question I ask everyone who comes on. You can answer it however you want, whatever comes to mind. But what gets you up in the morning?
What gets me up in the morning? Besides my coffee?
Besides, you can say whatever you want. Some people have just said coffee, which is a good answer. That's probably my answer. I need coffee.
Uh, Uh, Probably my motivation to get back out there, man. That's what's getting me up in the morning. What got me up in the morning is getting out, for a very long period of time, and now I'm out. What's getting me up in the
Mm-hmm.
morning is to keep going. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, I wish you nothing but the best. Real quick, you want to let people know where to follow you, where to check you out? I know that maybe you got a new Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. Let people know.
yeah, for sure. My TikTok is Real Adam Hicks. My Instagram is Real Adam Hicks. Check out my Spotify, Adam Hicks. New music's going to be dropping in October. And then I got my website, adam-hicks.com. And then my YouTube, where my videos are going to be at, is Adam Hicks Music on
Awesome,
YouTube.
man. Well, hey, Adam, thank you so much for doing this. Again, it means a lot to me that you take the time to do this. So this has been really cool. It's been really cool just meeting you.
Cool, man. No problem. The
Yeah.
pleasure was mine, bro.